Welcome back to the Drive Home Reviews podcast, where I review the movies that I have just seen as I am driving home from the theater. And, you know, there are times and there are moments when a movie comes along that is exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. I had a rough weekend. I'm not going to get into the details of it at this moment. But I wanted to review a movie to get my mind off things, and I didn't want something that was going to force me to think too much. I know that sounds terrible, but sometimes you just need something that is what it is. You know, something that is not trying to be anything else. Something that is not trying to be bigger than itself. It knows what it is. It knows what its goals are, and that is what it delivers. And this movie was all that and more. To the point where, I always say this, and I still end up talking for 20 minutes, to the point where I almost don't know what I'm going to say about it, because this is not a film that is needing a lot of deconstruction. This is not a film that has layers upon layers of subtext or hidden meaning or references to other. This movie is what it is. It tells you what it is right from the trailer, and it strives to give you the very best version of that. And it does. So if you haven't heard of this movie, shame on you. I've known about this one for a little while and was excited for it. So this is probably one of the easiest movies to explain. So this movie is about a troupe of ballerinas who are going to a dance contest, I guess. I'm not sure what it would be called. In Belgium, I think. In some foreign country, in some scary, and I don't mean that to be mean, I mean just the way they frame certain things. They are going to a foreign country to go to this ballet recital, and their bus breaks down, and they wander into this very, very sketchy place where it seems like every Russian mobster in the world is hanging out, and their coach is murdered, and now these 5 girls are just locked in a basement, and basically they use their ballet training to fuck these guys up. That is the story of this movie. These girls use their years of ballet training to just fuck these assholes up. If you like movies where bad things happen to really bad people, like this is one you watch. This is a cathartic film. It is, yeah. And again, I'm not quite sure what to build off of this, because that's what this movie is, and everything in it is building up to that moment. You know, for instance, I guess you could claim, if you were going to look for what are some flaws in this movie, is that whatever is going on in the Russian nightclub there, the various betrayals and relationships and who's on whose side is all very sketchy and very unclear. Like you're told that these characters have history with one another. Uma Thurman, who is unrecognizable, I did not realize that was Uma Thurman until the end credits, is there as she's the head of one Russian crime family, and the son of another one comes, and there's beef and history and la-da-da-da-da. And it's very kind of difficult to keep track of, who is who, and why does this one not like this one, and who does what. But the thing about it is it doesn't fucking matter. First of all, it actually serves the narrative to not know, because the girls our 5 ballerinas are our point of view characters, and as such, we don't really get any more information than they do. We get a little bit, but it's okay that it's kind of confusing, and it's okay that you don't know who's who, because they don't. All they know is these are a bunch of bad people who have done a bad thing and are going to do very bad things to them. And that's all you need to know. And as I said, it also doesn't fucking matter, because all we need to know as an audience is that these are bad people. These are irredeemable, no middle ground, no Prince Zuko. There's no, oh, we sure feel sorry for this person. You know, there's none of that. These are bad, horrible people that when they get fucked up, and they get fucked up, your only response is, yeah, fuck them up more. I guess the flip side of that is that our main characters, our 5 prima ballerinas, really don't get a whole lot of character development. They have as basic of personalities as, you know, the members of the Burger King Kids Club back in the 90s. You know, they are distinct enough that you understand the role that they play. So, for instance, Maggie Ziegler plays Bones. I love that name. I couldn't tell if it was short for something, but Bones, she's the leader. She's the street tough. We get again, we're not given a whole lot of background on any of them. But it's kind of said that Bones is not a rich girl, so it's kind of implied she comes from a rougher background. She's the leader. She's the rallying point, the one that says, all right, no one's coming to save us. We got to do it ourselves. So yeah, she's your Red Ranger. That's how I'm going to do this. She's your Red Ranger. I'm going to mispronounce this young lady's name, and I apologize. I'm going to do my very best. Aventiki. I'm sorry, the ink is smeared, and yeah, I apologize for mispronouncing the name. But we have Grace, that's the character's name, who is your goody-goody. You know, she quotes the Bible. She yells at the other ones for, you know, not doing good things. You know, she's the one who is kind of the most timid of all of them. So yeah, so let's see, who would she be? That's a hard one. But I guess she'd kind of be the Blue Ranger. You know, because she seems timid, but when push comes to shove, she really gets up and fucks some people up. And so yeah, so I think she's the Blue Ranger. That's our Blue Ranger. We have a sister duo played by Millicent Simmons of A Quiet Place fame, who is deaf in real life, and her character is deaf, which is awesome. I love that there is that inclusion in there, and her sister, who is played by Iris. I wrote these down really fast, so I'm sorry. But you have her sister, and her sister Zoe. That's the character's name. Her whole thing is looking out for her deaf sister. So you have that bond. That's your pink and yellow Rangers right there. I really don't know which one's which, but they have that bond. They've got that. It's a really tight bond. And then you have Lana Condor as Princess, whose name is exactly what it sounds like. She's the rich bitch, and yeah, she is a bitch. She's that mean girl. She's mean to everybody. She rams into people during practice on purpose. You know, she's just mean-spirited, and she's the one that, you know, comes and, you know, eventually has to have the arc, and they form a bond and all this. That's our Pink Ranger. in my opinion. You know, pretty but deadly. That's so there you have it. And that is essentially all the character development these characters get. And on the one hand, I do wish that we had gone a little bit more. I would like to have known a little bit more about their backgrounds. I also find it interesting, you know, Bones and Princess have names that are very indicative of their character traits, but the others really don't. You know, and I that's a weird choice to kind of make for 2 out of 5. Particularly, like, Princess and Bones get the most, and their connection and them forming a friendship and a bond through this. That's kind of the main arc, if there is one in this. And the other girls don't get as much. And I would have liked a little bit more of them. I want to know a little bit more about them and who they are. It would have been kind of nice. But on the other hand, after watching the movie, I feel like I didn't need it. The characters were broad enough to embody, I think, basically in the same way that, like, Power Rangers are kind of very broad in their characters, is that so that way any kid can watch this, anybody can watch it and say, that's the one that's me, that's the one that's my friend, that, you know, that you can see yourself, or maybe you can see what you hope to be in one of them. So they're just enough of a character to form the bond. And the other thing is that the actors, the company there, the 5 of them, are so good and so well cast, and you can tell that they have a real bond, that it kind of makes up for it. You kind of feel like these characters are more flushed out than they really are, because they're really not in a traditional sense, but the actors are so good, and their camaraderie, their friendship, their chemistry is so well done and so natural that you really don't need more. You've got everything that you need to know. So yeah, so I it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I do kind of come down more on the, it would have been nice, but it's not necessary. So yeah, and all of them do a great job. Great ensemble cast. But I think the thing that I gotta praise the most in this is the director, because there's just so much. This is a concept that could go very wrong very quickly. You know, a strong concept will only get you so far. You have to be smart about it. And she is. The director is really brilliant with the simplicity of it. For instance, like I said, the place they end up is so, it automatically, the visual cues are already so heavy with things like Taken and, you know, Hostel. It takes a lot of visual cues from films like that, so that you immediately go, we know what's going to go on here, and it's not good. You automatically fear for these girls, because you know from the trailer, you know what's going to happen, but you don't know how brutal it's going to be getting there. And again, the characters are good enough and the actors are strong that you don't want to see anything bad happen to these kids. You know, but you know from the visual cues, it's like bad shit happens to little girls in movies like this. And I also have to say that from a directing choice standpoint, I like that in both the screenplay and the film, our girls are not brutalized. They are not, and again, that's the whole point of the film. These are not helpless little damsels, you know, waiting for Liam Neeson to come and rescue them. That's not what this is. The whole point of it is the idea that, you know, ballet dancers are tough. Like, they play dainty little flowers, but they work hard to make that look so graceful and effortless. And the movie is kind of taking that, the grit that it takes people who dedicate their lives to ballet and pushing it into an action movie. But still, a lesser film would have said, well, we need to see them get hurt. We need to see bad things happen to them. They get beat up. I mean, they're fighting. The bad guys don't just kind of stand there and let it happen. They fight back. But, there's no torture. There's no gratuitous pain being done to them. There isn't an attempted rape, but it doesn't get too far. It's enough to kind of let you to reinforce the fact that, yes, this is a very serious situation and these girls are in real danger, but they don't let it get to the part where these girls are ever really victimized. And again, I think that is just a brilliant choice, and what makes this movie so cathartic is these girls are never victims. They're victims of circumstance, they're victims of the situation they're in, but they decide pretty quick, no, we're not going to do that. We're not just going to lay back and let this happen. If we're going down fighting. And, even the ones that are a little bit more on the fence, they get one pep talk from Bones and they're like, yep, you're right. Let's fucking do this. And that, of course, leads us to the centerpiece of the movie. Because the centerpiece of the movie is when these girls finally do arm themselves. They put fucking razor blades in the toe of their point shoe. And they go, and there's no other way to say it, they go and fuck these bastards up. And it is glorious. It is one of the most awesome action sequences I have seen in years. And it is down and dirty and ugly, and these guys are getting the shit kicked out of them by these girls doing dance moves and pirouettes and slapping them with roundhouse kicks. It's fucking brilliant. So smart. Whoever choreographed the dancing, whoever choreographed the violence, the cinematography of that moment is fucking brilliant. But I also love that they sprinkle this in throughout the rest of the movie. So it's not just them going violent night on these guys. They use these skills in other ways. There's a great moment where they're hiding from one of the bad guys in the kitchen, and all of them are using the fact that they are so flexible and they are so small to wedge into these tight places. One girl is squeezed between two apparatuses, and she's doing the splits, and her foot is up by her face. It's very smart. And if you were in this situation and you had these skills, these are some things you could, theoretically do to survive. So it's all throughout the movie. It's not just front-loaded in this one really fucking awesome action sequence. It's everywhere. So, yeah. I can't really think of a place this movie takes a misstep. I've mentioned the things that might have been nice, but they don't really drag the movie down. And matter of fact, I think it's a credit to the film that I do want to know more about these girls, that I do want to know more about where they came from and who they are. That's a good thing. It's not like they are trying to, raise these up as fully fleshed out three-dimensional characters, and really they're about as deep as a can of Pringles. They instill so much that you want to know about them, and it's a weird thing, and maybe this is a very, I don't know if it's a toxic masculine trait, but I think it is a masculine trait, that you want to protect them, but at the same time, what's great about the movie is they don't need the protection. And I can only imagine how empowering that would be to a female cast seeing that. Just as a 47-year-old man, I'm watching it going, yeah, go girl, fuck his shit up. You know? But yeah, there's not a place really where this movie makes a wrong turn. It's tight. It's as long as it needs to be. It doesn't have any flab on it. It understands, I think, that the premise will only kind of get you so far. So they go that far and then it's done. You know, they don't try to push it past anything. They don't try to make it more than it is. I will say this, the bad guys in this have worse aim than Imperial stormtroopers, I'll tell you that. So yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's a good, tight, gory, dirty, but incredibly beautiful at the same time little movie. It's not anything more than that. It was exactly what I needed at exactly the time that I needed it. So yeah, so let's I don't have anything really else to say about this. So let's wrap it up. Let's bring this in for a landing. So final grade for Pretty Lethal, I'm giving it a solid A. I'm giving it a solid A. Not because it really lends anything new to the discourse, but it's a smart version of exactly what it wants to be. So if you're good with action and you don't mind some gore, because yeah, the girls do fuck these guys up in pretty gory ways, and you're okay with that, and again, they go to great lengths to say these are bad people, so you're kind of like, yeah, fuck them up. It's kind of like I said this when I reviewed A Working Man last year, that like, it wasn't a good movie, but the ending was kind of good because Jason Statham is, you know, blowing the shit out of human traffickers, some of the lowest form of scum on the planet. And this is that exact same thing. This is every bad guy from Hostel, Taken, you know, or any other movie where a woman's been brutalized, getting exactly what they fucking deserve. And it's very cathartic. You wish that things like this happened in real life. So yeah, I say check this one out. It's fun. It is exactly what it says it is. And yeah, I had a blast watching it. It was exactly the movie I needed at exactly a time when I needed it. So yeah, sometimes you don't have to go real deep on these things. Sometimes they let you know exactly what they are in the trailer. So there you have it. Check this one out. Okay. So, there is my review. Thank you all for coming along with me. Thanks for joining me. I have a feeling I'm going to be needing these reviews a lot more in the future. We'll talk about that if it happens. But anyhow, thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening. And as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.